Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is one of my favorite days that we get to do every 4 years. Today is election day. So not only are many of us voting for local and state elected officials, but we're actually getting to vote for President of the United States. Most powerful position in the entire world, and I believe one of, if not the most important person in all of the free world. So inviting you today to take some time out of your day, if you haven't already taken advantage of some of the early voting, to go out and have your voices be heard. I want to go over kind of the way that I think about elections. So one of the ways that I've been doing in recent years, and it's super simple. Instead of choosing just one policy or one position for political candidates, I try to look at kind of their whole situation. And so what this brings me back to is a story that I was told many years ago by one of my mentors. So this particular mentor worked for a local politician, or I guess he was actually in the I think he was a senator for the state of Indiana when I lived in Indiana, and so he was in charge of his political campaign. He was his main PR person, and during one of the election cycles, he wound up and made a pretty costly mistake on some of the materials and stuff that were going out. That was, a significant amount of money at the time. That certainly had a negative impact on the campaign and funds that were available to run that campaign. And one of the things that the politician told my mentor that I'll never forget, and I try to take it into consideration, is, my mentor was very down on himself, upset that he had made that big costly mistake. Actually, he was concerned about getting fired. And so he finally, the politician looked at my friend and said, "Hey, I do not base my opinion of you based on one action or one mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. What I do is I judge you on the entirety of your work." So think about that for a second. Everybody's made mistakes. Everyone has made errors, and know somebody that has. How would you have judged them different instead of judging them based on that one mistake? If you looked at the entirety of the work, the entirety of their being, how would that have potentially changed that situation? Yes, people make mistakes. People make significant mistakes, but if we're looking at them based on the entirety of who they are and the work that they have done, is that the right decision? So I try to look at our politicians and elected officials in that same light. There is not one elected official out there that I absolutely agree with all of the things they're doing. Just doesn't happen. So what I try to do is, based on the entirety of their work, can we find one that most aligns with my positions? And that's who I try to cast my vote for. So I would invite you today, instead of just looking potentially at one policy or one position that the candidates have, can we break down multiple policies or positions that person has on different issues? Can we have 5-10 different issues and see which works closely aligns with your values for that particular candidate or their opponent? And so, you can also recognize too, maybe some of the things that are important to you. There is, bipartisan support, and there is, and they hold the same position. Can we break that down and see where the two parties lie? And, if you do have one that you're more passionate about, certainly put more weight towards that one. Maybe that doesn't sway the entire thing, but if you only agree with one candidate on one position and all the other things they disagree with, maybe that's not the best person for you in your situation. So just invite you to look at a bigger, larger picture as you're casting those votes today. Other reasons to vote. I've met quite a few people that this is going to be their first time voting, or, and asking about that process. So I've broken that down. But I also believe it's important just to protect our rights, right? We've been very fortunate in the United States to be, I truly believe it's the best place in the world to live and raise a family. And the opportunities that we have, I think, are second to no one in the world. And so protecting those rights, making sure we take advantage of our opportunity to elect our officials, to have free and open elections, it's something that's worth protecting, because that's helped develop us into the country that we are today. Our country with all the faults and stuff that we've had in the past. Once again, looking at the entirety of the work as a nation, man, there's just not a better place to be, and I'm very thankful that we get the opportunity to live here. Also think it's important to take the time, effort, and energy it takes to review candidates, make sure that you're finding the candidate that most likely or most directly aligns with your values, and making sure we're casting that vote. Our forefathers fought for this right to be able to have a say in who our elected officials are. To be able to campaign on their behalf or support them, with by casting that vote. And then our country is, I think, one of the best things that we've done, is certainly since the COVID-19, is opening up early voter early voting for our fellow citizens to have more opportunities to get in there and vote. I understand that it's hard to get in there on one day, on one particular day within a certain time frame, but now being in a situation where we have more days for that to be opened up, I think that's been a really good thing. I'm still getting to cast my vote today on election day. I find joy in that, and think it's a neat thing that we get to do. So I've been trying to hold off and do it on election day. But certainly there's still time to get out there and vote if you haven't. I think as many people that have utilized the early voting stations and polling locations, I think the crowds will be pretty steady today, because we do have a pretty passionate citizens on all sides today. So I think we're going to get lots of people out there to vote. So have your voices be heard. Your vote matters. The reason that our forefathers set up the elections the way they did is so that way there is more voice to more people, and I'm thankful that they did that. So take some time today, if you haven't already been out to do early voting, to have your voice heard, and make our country great. So you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys again soon.